Oh, come on. Why does it say Cowboys Goosed? What the? Retry. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Cowboys Ghost. Welcome to the video. I got a new microphone, so I'm going to start doing videos now. I've been kind of putting it off mostly because I couldn't really afford a nice microphone, and it was just too difficult to use my studio microphone for streaming as well as recording because I just like to leave my mic in the booth. But my little brother moved out of my parents' house, got his own house like 6 months ago, something like that. And he had all this stuff that he wasn't ever going to use again. And it was all of his like gaming stuff and his racing simulator that I had built for him with my friend. So he gave me the racing simulator, the controllers, and this microphone, and a new stand. So he's not going to use it. So that just means I get to use it now. But as far as this video and why I'm making this video, I came across this post, and it really frustrates me. As much as I want to say that 81% of people are correct, I do believe that running water would be hard to live without, but what people don't understand is that is not how the world works. I really have a problem with this, and that is mostly because of people's lack of understanding about how the world actually works. And I'm not saying I know every single thing, but I know how the world runs. I learned about it. I guess I taught myself how the world actually runs every single day. How we keep going, how we keep surviving every single day. I tried to figure it out when the Strait of Bengal, I think it was, Strait of Hormuz maybe, when they shut that down and we lost about 20 million barrels per day globally. That's a pretty big amount. Yeah. So this Strait of Hormuz, this is one of the most important pieces of the human existence. The Strait of Hormuz, it gets oil to the rest of the world, and this whole, I guess, smartphones, useless. I hate them. I use them, but I hate them. They're useless. They're pieces of crap. Air conditioning, I personally believe that a lot of the reason why people need air conditioning now is just a lack of understanding about how air actually moves and how to cool houses. I mean, the Romans, the Egyptians, the Greeks, they didn't have air conditioning. They did just fine. One of the biggest things I think that people need to start doing is using ground. Basically, the ground is so much colder than above the ground. So the subterranean homes, they're the best and cheapest way to cool your house. I mean, it's literally as simple as just burying your house, and then it won't be hot anymore. And that's just one thing. That's just one thing. Air conditioning. We still have fans. We can still use water cooling with fans. We don't need air conditioning. We can use water cooling. Air conditioning is a very, very basic premise if you actually want to understand how air conditioning works. It's basically you have a coolant ran through a radiator, and then you have fan pushing air over that radiator. It's nothing extremely complicated. It's really a simple thing. And the reason why I'm saying all of this is because I'm trying to prove my point. And my point is that we can live without smartphones. We can live without air conditioning. We can live without running water. And the thing is running water, and one of the comments down here made it very good. By taking away running water, you assume that you take away all water entirely. You assume that gravity gets removed from that. So by saying running water, you mean the water that is electrically pumped into homes every single day through our plumbing. That is running water. We survived without running water for centuries, hundreds of centuries. I mean, aqueducts are one of the easiest ways that I know of to get water from one place to another. And if I remember correctly, the Egyptians were some of the oldest aqueducts we know of. I mean, the Egyptians were moving water all over Egypt without electricity. I mean, running water is such a basic concept that you almost can't get rid of it. Clearwater Springs. Pretty sure that's a town. Yeah. But we have springs. There's a spring nearby that I know of, Diamondville. Yeah, this is the one. I mean, there's even natural hot springs. But there's a genuinely clean groundwater spring. I've been to it. I drank the water. It's cold and tastes like nothing. That's good. That's what you want. So by saying running water is the most important thing is complete trash, because that assumes that if running water went away, all water went away. And that is complete bullshit, because it is completely impossible. Now, why I believe cars is the only correct answer in this instance is because by saying cars, you assume that everything based on the concept of the original car is included in the car's name. That includes semi-trucks, our logging trucks, garbage trucks, pickup trucks, and our cars, our sedans, our SUVs, the stuff that we drive to work. By saying cars, I guess if the intention of cars was simply people movers, that's a different story. Because without personal vehicles, we'd still have buses, we'd still have trains, we'd still have feet, we'd still be able to ride bikes, we'd still be able to have scooters and electric motorcycles. All right, I don't remember what I was talking about in the last clip, but I've been doing some more commenting. I got this document up, so I'm going to show you guys my exact reasoning for why I believe this is the correct answer. But this guy is definitely correct. I agree, because he's not wrong, but it doesn't account for everything. The trains are a far more efficient way of transporting goods. 100%, they carry more load, they're more efficient. I mean, the hybrid concept of trains being electrically driven but diesel powered, it's extremely efficient. And I mean, there's a reason why we've been using the same rails for over 100 years. It makes sense, and I'm not discounting any of what this guy is saying. He's 100%, I would even say 98% correct. Global energy statistics, I was a little off on the global. I was probably referencing intrastate, so Wyoming, when I was saying 75% of energy is oil and gas. That's just pretty much United States. Coal is so big in the United States, but he is correct that coal is transported by rail. The only flaw with that is you need trucks to get it to the train to begin with. I mean, a lot of these mines are out in the middle of butt-fuck nowhere. There's no trains out there. Sometimes they're even in the mountains. No one's getting a train into the mountain. It's too expensive. I mean, the I think it was Union Pacific or something, when they started in California, they had a lot of mountain ranges to go through. I think it was Union Pacific. Whichever rail company started in California and went to the center, and because they met in the middle. They had a lot of mountains to go through. They figured out that it was cheaper to go around. I mean, instead of building on top of the mountain or digging through the mountain, it's just cheaper to go around. So mountainous regions have no trains. That's how it is. And the only way to get anything else into those regions where there's no trains is trucks. Because there's not enough horses on planet Earth to get enough material into these places without trucks and trains. And I mean, trains are the most important for the supply chain. I guess the speed of the supply chain is heavily reliant on trains. But without trucks, the supply chain doesn't exist. And here's what I'm going to show you. The trucking industry, our supply lines, all of that is a closed loop. Basically, it's a closed system that relies on itself. And without that system, everything else ceases to exist. So, for example, we have our fuel. So our fuel gets put into the trucking industry. And that is how we can move things. So that trucking industry brings us agriculture and electricity. I mean, that's just how it works. Because without trucks, your trains are empty. It's as simple as that. Without trucks, your boats are empty. It's as simple as that. Without agriculture and water, we no longer have workers. Those workers are what supply our fuel. You see what I'm saying? Now, if we had boats, we need fuel for boats. How do we get fuel for boats? The trucking industry. So if our fuel can't go to boats, then our boats have no oil and they have no coal. Well, I guess we have no energy resources. We have no agriculture, water, or electricity. Which means we have no workers, which means we have no fuel, which means we have no boats, which means we have no energy, we have no food, water, or electricity. It's a closed system. And if you disrupt one single thing in that system, it doesn't work anymore. So without boats, we have no energy resources, which means we have no fuel. Which means we have no electricity, which means we have no water, which means we have no food. If we have no food, we have no people. If we have no people, this is what I'm saying. 94% of people do not understand how they even get the things they have. If you do not understand where your anything comes from, you will not survive the apocalypse. This metric is so terrifying to me, not because it shows the amount of people who don't understand where their water even comes from, but it shows how few people would actually be able to take care of themselves in a societal collapse. Only 6% of people, and I'll even say 2% of those people just clicked randomly. 4 to 6% of people would survive a societal collapse. Because only 4 to 6% of people out of the 57,000 votes actually understand how important the trucking industry is for the global supply chain. Now, I don't know if you guys remember in the beginning of the video, I was talking about the Strait of Hormuz. Now, when the Strait of Hormuz was closed, we lost 20 million barrels per day. The government had a large reserve, very large reserve, but it was finite. And what people don't understand is that the Strait of Hormuz, just the Strait of Hormuz itself, supplies the global oil supply chain with 20 million barrels of oil per day. Per day, 20 million. We use as a global society, 100 million per day. If you take 20 million barrels per day off of that 100 million, you have to get that 20 million barrels per day from somewhere. The United States got it from their reserves. And those reserves, I think it was 400 million barrels. That 400 million barrels, 20 million per day, that's not very long. That's less than 2 weeks. But that wasn't all of the oil. We were able to return some pipelines, do all this kind of stuff. By the end of trying to figure out everything, the global oil usage was down 5 million per day. Now, that's a lot less. 5 million barrels per day, you got 400 million. I'd say that's 126 days, give or take. Probably less. And this is still in effect today. What people don't realize is this is still happening. I would like to bring to people's attention how important that our daily oil consumption is. This is one of those things where I don't understand it entirely, but I understand it well beyond what a normal human being would. And that's why I want to bring this information to the normal human being so they can understand what is actually going on in their society and they're not making decisions stupidly. Because if you don't understand what is actually happening, how are you able to make an educated decision on anything? If you don't understand the thing you're voting on, then why are you voting? That's another subject, and that's another thing that I don't think I will ever be able to solve. But what I was saying about the importance of fuel and the trucking industry and boats and our resources and the Strait of Hormuz and oil, our pipelines, we were down 5 million barrels per day at one point. And then China comes in and just cuts off the world oil reserves, or the world's oil. They just cut it off. They don't need it anymore. Because they bought all this fucking Russian oil. They don't need our oil anymore. They don't need the United States. And I know that this isn't AI, but it helps me understand, or I guess articulate my thoughts in a way that makes a little bit more sense due to me having terrible grammar. I guess what I'm trying to say is, if China didn't do what they did, we wouldn't really... we'd be in a special spot right now. So, if China didn't do what they did, we would basically have a month or two left in the United States, and that's extremely terrifying. When you say 1 to 2 months left of the United States, that is literal. Like, extremely literal. Like, the United States would have ceased to exist in 1 to 2 months had China not done what they did. And the Strait initially closed February 28th. As of today, that was 169 days ago. About 5 months and 19 days. 5 months and 19 days of what should have been 6 to 7 months left. And what China did was, I said it was unfathomable and unprecedented, but I'm understanding that it's not entirely unusually, like, it's not something completely insane that nobody saw coming. It's just crazy that it happened. The thing is when it happened, people were surprised, but they also weren't. I mean, China was in a position where they were the only country in the entire planet who was capable of doing such a thing. And I say they saved the world, but that's not why they did it. Yes, China saved the world. Go China. But they only saved the world as a consequence of thinking about their own interests. Just the entire situation is so beyond what any normal human being would ever be able to just understand. And I've been trying this entire video to try and make this as easily acceptable to I guess what I would say, a numbed mind. I mean, if you get to a point where you've seen so much nonsense, so much AI garbage, you're not gonna understand what I'm even talking about. You're not even gonna believe that any of this that I'm saying even happens. And I don't agree with this on the United States being a oil power. And what I mean by oil power is I mean somebody who has the ability to manipulate the oil market. And they do in the small sense of the United States is the one who controls the price. But that assumes that the United States is the controller of the only oil market. Where China comes in, and why I believe the United States is no longer a power, is because China has the ability to create a secondary oil market. That itself is catastrophic for the future of the United States. And the crazy thing is, it all comes down to us being able to fuel our trucks. Everything I'm talking about here, where the United States is losing control, the United States has this control of the price while not having control, is entirely insane. Like, this information is probably well above the working understanding of 80% of humanity. And I understand that. But that fact by itself is equally as detrimental to the future of the United States as our oil is. Like I was saying earlier, if you cannot comprehend what I've been explaining, and I'm not saying I'm 100% correct, but there is truth to what I'm saying. If you do not have the ability to understand the pieces of truth that I have given in this video, you are the problem with the United States. I have never been one to vote. Ever. Because I know for a fact that my vote outside of intrastate elections is completely useless. We've seen in the past with, what's his fucking name? I can't remember the fucking dude's name. Joe Biden. We saw with Joe Biden that the American vote is useless. If I click one thing and it doesn't match what they want me to click, they just change the answer. So, if you've gone through this entire video and you still don't believe me, leave me a comment and I will try and explain better. But if you watch this video and you agree with me, also leave me a comment on why. Because I want to know. I really do. Because this poll right here, it says so much more about human existence than it ever meant to. And it is absolutely mind-blowing that so little people actually understand what is going on in their world. Like 7% of people can't live without their smartphone? Are you fucking kidding me? Thank you guys for watching. I've been Cowboy's Ghost. If you want to see more of these fucking rants, I plan on making more. I plan on stating my opinion and shitting all over the internet with it. I also plan on doing some more streams. Now that I have a nice microphone, I plan on doing a hell of a lot more streams. And as far as that goes, thank you guys for watching. Apologize for the nasty ass light. I didn't realize until, no, that's even worse. We're all just gonna suffer with that. But thank you for watching this video. I'm gonna go edit this fucking thing and catch y'all in the next one. Peace out.